What are you doing?
One can never be too prepared.
Let's go.
I've just been introduced to Kin, a top-down action RPG that sort of looks and plays a little bit like games we're used to, but it also has a couple of unique touches. I think the first one that struck me was the fact how you sort of deal with the group in Kin, that you're moving with a group and you're sort of in between real time, but you also have the opportunity to pause it. What was the concept going into that and then sort of deciding for this approach?
So the game, yeah, it sort of plays like a hack and slasher, but we can slow it down because you control multiple characters. And it's quite hard for most players to control like up to 6 characters at the same time. So they sometimes need some time to think how you're going to approach a certain group of enemies. And it's quite a tactical game, so there will be healers and mages and warriors that work together against you. So we introduce this cooldown mechanism that slows down the game. And then you can take your time and make some decisions, but it doesn't last forever, so you're still sort of pressed, like in speed chess, to make your decision on time. And it keeps you, like, sort of your adrenaline flowing. So it's not like, oh, this is a very slow game. It's very fast still. And you just sort of go in and out of this pause mode and still keep the action going.
I think it's nice because sort of when you're moving through grunts, just simple enemies that don't really require all that tactics, you don't have to pause the game, you don't have to set things up, so it's not as locked into that. But when you actually encounter something more difficult, that's the time to do it.
Yeah, it's very different from player to player. Like today we have had a lot of interviewers coming in, and some players just play constantly without pause until they're almost dead. So at the last minute they go bam, pause button, and then they sort of set up the skill so they can just barely survive the fight. And they might survive it like with one character, and the rest will just come alive after. So it's not like a big deal. And others will play very methodically, like very slowly, one character at a time, move forward. And they do go in and out of pause a lot, and it's up to the player to play in their style. We're not going to tell you should play this game like very fast or very slow. It's up to the player to decide, I want to play it more slowly and take less risk, or I want to play very risky, very fast, and once I'm in over my head, I can pause anyway to take some more time to make my decisions.
So if we sort of set the stage of the game, what's the setting here? What's the story? What kind of fiction is it that we're delving into?
So it's a bit of an odd mix of fantasy and science fiction. We are in this world where there are a lot of races. There's humans, but there are also sort of troll-like creatures and sort of reptilian-like creatures, and they all live together quite peacefully at first. But as the game progresses, there's more friction between them, because the humans are sort of getting more technology, so they are advancing and they are encroaching on the territory of the other races. And there's friction and war, and in the end, between the different races. And it's up to the player to figure out how to sort of deal with this situation. He can make decisions, and that will influence the storyline of the game. And later on in the game, there's sort of a mystery around these portals. So like, how did all these races come together on this one planet? Are there more planets? How is this all connected together? And the player will have to find out like how the world works and why this entire sort of mystery is in that game, in Kin.
So I'm not familiar with the studio. Can you tell us a little bit about the background of the studio and who you are? Because you're not a big team working on this.
We're a very small team. We're only 2 guys. So how we started, we worked a lot at a bank, and in the evenings we worked a side job, and we just saved up a lot of money for years. And then 3 years ago we started working on Kin full time. Doing a bit of contract work on the side too, so we still have some food on the table. But basically we tried, this is our passion, this is our dream. So we went full into this, and just been working with it with just the 2 of us for years now. And on top of that we have a composer who works with us on the music. And lately, since now we have a publisher, we have a modest budget, so we can hire an animator to sort of clean up our cutscenes and stuff like that. So it's a very small team, but it's a very big game, and we work on it quite hard and long hours. But we love working on it, so it's very cool.
And what's the road ahead with it?
The road
left to do? What's coming?
Where we are now with the game? Well, we want to release it early next year, possibly, maybe a bit later. It depends a bit on what we add to the game. but we are thinking about, we're sort of finishing up all the worlds in the game. So there's a lot of levels, and we are just, currently they're all in place, but they aren't all filled out completely yet. So that's what we're working on now, and it will probably take about 6 to 8 months before we're completely done and happy and satisfied with Kin.
Right. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you, man. See you later.
Man, adventuring is hard work.